the 18-year-old man effectively has very little to offer most single women. So he has to learn what women want and obtain it and become it. By default, a woman who's getting the attention up front, because her value is up front, if you are a poor mate selector, by the time you've gotten to 30, 32, 35, 40 plus, a woman that refuses to adjust to the type of man that she wants is effectively the equivalent of a male incel. Involuntary celibate.
I was about to say that.
I'm going to stop it right there really quick. Now, that's true. You know, been saying it for a long time. Men have to build their value. I think a lot of the women that, I mean, at least in our teenage years, they go for the class clowns. Growing up in, you know, the typical urban community, a lot of beautiful women love class clowns, love athletes. A lot of the athletes that were great athletically but didn't have brains or anything to back that up, and they only got so far. But I kind of was hip to game at an early age. I already know I needed to. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the most attractive guy in the world, but at the same time, I've dealt with a lot of beautiful women, and I was never a class clown. I ended up going to Ohio State on a full-ride academic scholarship. I mean, I did have schools like Penn State recruiting me for basketball, but I wanted to stay closer to home. I was never the class clown type. I was always the guy that wanted to question things, get good grades. And you do get a lot of, I mean, when you're a fairly decent guy, you smart and you athletic at the same time, you do have the opportunity to deal with a lot of beautiful women. But at the same time, I was a worker too. I always had money. I get out of high school and go work at UPS, working at Advanced Auto Parts. I mean, I bought myself my first car, paid for my own driving school. So what I'm saying is, an 18-year-old man or a teenager, if you on top of your game and you recognize early that you need to put yourself in a position to be able to have resources, not only to take care of yourself, but to elevate your life, that puts you in a better position later on in life when you're dealing with certain women. But a lot of beautiful women, they get a lot of attention just right off the back. And one of the most important things that I used to talk to my female friends about, because I did have some platonic female friends that were gorgeous, and that's because I never wanted to, you know, cross that line with them and potentially like fuck up a good friendship. But one thing is that I used to always tell them, like, man, decision making is one of the most important things, because I used to question why so many women go after guys that another man can tell too. Another man can tell the work ethic and the ability for another guy to probably prosper later in life based on how he's setting up his foundation. And I used to question why some of these women would choose some of these guys even early on in life. Like, seriously. Because you already kind of knew what they were going to get themselves into. But let's continue to see what else they got to say.
And a large group of them women believe that they're the prize, so they don't even know anything about going to go gain access to a particular plethora of man or a class of men. If they're already predisposed to think that they're the prize.
If they're in an echo chamber all day hearing that they're tens and, you don't have to adapt for a man, you let them come after you, then yeah, of course you're going to yield those results every time. And I think that's the main issue, is that, we talked about the communications, and women don't really care to listen to men. They don't want to believe what it is that men are telling them, and they're constantly reinforced that they are doing the right thing and the men are doing the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. But we've told these women on the panel, not in depth in particular this show, but different panelists that have came on over and over and over again, that you're going to have to make some adjustments. And it does take humility, like you said, but most people aren't willing to because they feel like they're doing the right thing. They're not really trying to hear what men are saying. And I've mentioned the word competitive, and people will get extremely angry because I said the dating market is competitive. women don't feel the need or have the humility to compete for men in a competitive market. If you won't compete in a field that's competitive, what?
When it comes to a lot of women, accountability is just a word that they dislike. They strongly dislike hearing accountability because a lot of the times you need to be accountable for the type of man that you choose. Like, seriously. If you're constantly making the same mistake in choosing a certain type of guy and the results are just not showing and therefore you're just running through men, that speaks to your decision making. And like one thing about like a high value man or a high quality man, someone that's, you know, built something for himself, like, because we truly need to build our value. We truly do build up our resources. It's just, it's no other way around that unless you was born into a rich family. And for a lot of us, that was not the case. Definitely wasn't for me. I had to build everything that I've acquired and everything that I've accomplished in this lifetime so far at 37 years old. But accountability is like, it's serious. It's serious out here. Because men get freaked out when they see a woman who's constantly making the same mistakes over and over again as it relates to the type of man she's dealt with. Because we don't want to end up in a situation where we take a chance on you and you do another boneheaded move. You do something that's completely boneheaded, like where you let a snake wiggle in because you want some attention for right now, when we've always been the type of men that like to build, acquire more resources to take care of the family that we want to have. That's what it's really about. Making sure that our family and the woman that we're with has whatever that they need, and going out here and really just trying to conquer the world. But a lot of women lack accountability for some of the partners or the spouses that they deal with, man. It's like a continuous cycle. And then for a lot of men that are high quality and high value, we just don't have the energy for it no more. We just rather just keep acquiring resources, building, and just enjoying our own self, our own free time, being on our own crib. Like, I'm in my 4-bedroom house in Charlotte, North Carolina. I own my property since 2018. If anybody know anything about Charlotte, North Carolina, you know the property values and the home prices here it's outrageous. You know, just knowing when to invest was a good strategy for me. Pretty much made me rich this house. I mean, but taking mine, I've had a long corporate finance career as well. So when you get to a point like this, like most men want to deal with the woman that's going to either help elevate him further or that's going to support any future ambitions that he might have. And hopefully she has a little bit of something to lose. We just don't want to deal with anybody that don't have anything to lose. Decision making is very important. If you compound great decision after great decision, in most cases you should get good results.
What result can you possibly get?
Well, if when you turned 18, you had access to men that was your age, in their 20s, in their 30s, and in their 40s, and that primarily was offered to you specifically because of your biology and not something you had to earn. You've now had 12-year run of not having to work for attention that's naturally going to be granted to you. Anybody, if I was a woman, I'm sure my mindset would have been very different than what it is as a man.
Wait, hold on.
I get it and understand now.
I gotta expose you to something before you go there on the youth.
Okay.
We done did it many times, but I'm gonna let the women question you on this.
Okay.
Because when you talk about a woman becoming 18 and have access to different brackets, age groups of men because of her biological position, her youth, and all these other stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can debunk it or you're gonna actually substantiate it, maybe. But there's this frontal lobe argument. Mm-hmm. You heard of it? I don't need to say nothing more, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, this, regardless of the development of the frontal lobe and whose develops faster and all this other stuff, I guess the main point I was trying to bring up is you typically had a run that your 18-year-old male counterpart didn't. He has to build up his value.
Here's what nobody's telling you about the new bearskin hoodie. This fleece is thick. It's made from 340 GSM of bearskin fleece, which is super...
So, if the 18-year-old man effectively has very little to offer most single women. So he has to learn what women want and obtain it and become it. By default, a woman who's getting the attention up front, because her value is up front, if you are a poor mate selector, by the time you've gotten to 30, 32, 35, 40 plus, a woman that refuses to adjust to the type of man that she wants is effectively the equivalent of a male incel. Involuntary celibate. An involuntary celibate is a male that can't get access to women and he refuses to do something about it. Damn. So that loser over there to the left, that guy that no woman's checking for, and he's refusing to put the work in to adjust to the market of what women's expectations are so that he can get not only the caliber of woman that he wants, but access to women, period. Because you're a woman by default, you're going to get attention from the 400-pound life, when you 400, 500-pound life, where them people be on the show and they got to tear down the door to carry them out. All them big women was never single. There was still a man in there.
He's making great points because there's levels to this, right? There's tremendous levels to this. Like I was saying, there's not any woman really that's walking this face of the earth that can't walk down the street, hop down the street, wheelchair down the street, that a guy won't try to holler at. Like seriously, attention is constantly thrown at women, just everywhere, in person, social media. And social media just broaden the scope. Like you just have access in so many ways to speak to women. Dating apps, it really don't matter. It's women get a lot of attention. Now, the levels at which they are, I don't know, but obviously we know there's levels to this. For a man, if he wants a certain type of woman, you want her to look a certain way, you want her to function a certain way, the first thing that she's going to be looking at you, okay, are you a provider? What type of resources do you have? You got a car, you own a house, you make good money. Are you a decent looking guy? And sometimes the looks go out the window depending on what the size of that bank account is. For real. Or if she's, and it's very rare, but if you find one of those women who don't really care about any of that, and some of those out there do exist, it's just very rare. Some of those women might build with you. I mean, there's some beautiful women out there who's willing to build with the man who doesn't have everything right now. But that's very rare because we're living in it's 2025. Men truly have to build their value. Truly build their value. A lot of these young women been dealing with older men at a very young age, whether their parents knew about it or not. Attention has always been there, and they've already been learning the game. It's a resource game. What can I extract from this man, or what can I get from this man? It's just, it's the world we live in. And like he said, for some men, if you don't want to put the work in to gather those resources, become top tier, go work out, go do what you need to do, you're not going to obtain or get the type of woman that you actually want. You might not even put yourself in the same realm, or you might not even go to the same social events where these women are actually at to even get these type of women. You might have to settle for, like he's saying, sometimes the 400, 500 pound woman that can't fit through the door frame. Because even those women, they still got somebody
in there. So you getting access to a man is not a flex. You getting access to the man that you want is the challenge. So if you can't do that as a woman that's been getting access to men since 18, you are the equivalent to that.
Damn.
So until you're willing to make that adjustment, that's why your outcome is what it is. I'll never have men or women come into my office and they walk out thinking society and the world has to change so that I can live life. You have to point. The greatest success you can make is to make it your responsibility, even if it's not. If it went wrong, there's something I have to do different. In my marriage, in my kids, in my friendships, in my relationship, the onus is on me.
So let me
go ahead.
Let me test your logic real quick on that. It's gonna be really quick. Are you saying that if a woman desires a man that prefers or require a woman to be 140 pounds, but she's 200, are you saying on the record that she need to go lose weight?
Turning hiding spots into honey holes.
Since 19. Yes.
Thank you.
Hold on. If this is the man she wants.
I agree with you. I just wanted to go on the record.
Yeah, because only in America can we say only America can we say the type of job and salary.
You know what? I'm not even gonna rewind it. I'm just gonna comment on that. And the guy in the bottom left hand corner, he did bring up a good point, because throughout I've always been an athlete. Again, I told you I graduated from Ohio State, played basketball at a pretty high level. Had other schools recruiting me, like Penn State, for actual Division I scholarships, but I decided to take an academic scholarship at Ohio State. So there I just played on the JV. At Ohio State, played on the JV basketball team, which what we called a club basketball team. But I was still tied in with Thad Matta and guys like Evan Turner, Greg Oden, Eddie Days, those type of guys. That was my class when I was there. But what I can say is, anytime that me and the guys would be at the gym, working out, training, in Columbus, Ohio, it's one thing that we always noticed. We didn't see a lot of African American women working out, man. It just wasn't a lot of black women willing to work out. We seen other cultures in there, but it just really wasn't a lot of women of color that was willing to work out and keep their bodies in shape. But they would keep their hair done, their nails done, but everything else was just out of. And when you in college, like most men that make it to college and they're actually focused on graduating and going into a professional corporate career and trying to build first time generation wealth for a lot of black men. Like, we get to a point to where, like, we're truly disciplined about that, and we want our women to be in shape like we're in shape. And half the time, the only women we seen in there were Caucasian women, Asian women, Caucasian women, Asian women, always working out. Always working out. Looking good too. But I've dated mostly black women, but at the same time, I dated Caucasian women too, but at the same time, it got to a point where I'm like, man, are you gonna start working, or are they gonna work out? What's the issue here? What's the issue here? If you want a certain type of man, why don't you want to work out to keep him or pique his interest? I mean, health is wealth, right? But that's one thing that I'm sure any man can go, and this probably goes, you could probably do this experiment across major universities across the United States. Even if there's not a huge African American population, check to see how many African American women are working out. I mean, there was African American women working out, but it wasn't a lot, and it definitely wasn't consistent.
That we want, but we don't want to have to show up for the interview and want to show up late and make our own rules. Everywhere else in your life, if you wanted the degree, how many credits did you have to take? How many classes did you have to do? You wanted that job? How many interviews did you have to go through? What's the uniform? How many times do you have to be in the office? Everywhere else in your life, there are steps and protocols and things that will lead you to the outcome you want. But then when it comes to the man that you want there to be no rules. Take me as I am. The take me as I am men are the men that nobody else wants.
Mayor J. Block. So I know this might be a little bit off the direction that you're going.
Yeah.
But what is your thoughts on the panderer phenomenon? And I've been trying to study it right now. But in terms of how are these people that get behind the microphone and pander able to captivate such a large audience so consistent whenever that large audience can go and look at the facts and see that this guy is playing on your feelings and still turn you into a paying client?
Because advertisers know that it's easier to sell to women and children. So if advertisers know that, people that want to get on these platforms know that as well. So if you know that I think it's like 80% of the consumer debt is women. They know they'll spend the money. They know that they'll be on social media. And they know they would love to jump into somebody telling them what they want to hear, even if it's not true. They know that. My argument is to put women on game to what's going on. If everything that's coming out of a man's mouth makes you feel good, you should be running. Unless you think you're
Do you understand what he just said? If everything that's coming out of a man's mouth makes you feel good, you should be running. Because a real man, he's not about to be telling you what you want to hear. He's not going to be letting shit slide. I don't have time to let anything slide, because if I prefer things to be done a certain way, not in a controlling aspect, but how I want my life to function, similar to how I want our children to be raised, or certain things that a woman she might not have done it on purpose, but if he sees something that he didn't like, we're not going to be sugarcoating it or saying, "Oh, baby, it's okay." No, we're going to tell you what we don't like, because we don't want you to make that mistake again, because we don't want to have to worry about that or deal with it later on. And that's just the honest truth. What he's speaking on is, there's a lot of men that's out there simping or pandering to women, just allowing shit to slide. A high quality, high value man is not letting anything slide. There's a lot of games out there being played. I'm not one to allow things to slide. I'm not playing no games at all. And I definitely don't have time to be trying to control you or worried about what you're doing. I want to trust that you understand and respect and value our relationships, morals, integrity, the same way that a high quality and high value man will. And unfortunately, as a high value or high integrity man who's obtained a lot of resources, I mean, his options will be a whole lot more wide open than just the average guy. But a disciplined guy will understand that he's just not about to be out here dilly-dabbing, because he has a lot to lose. So if a man is telling you everything you want to hear, he's acting super non-confrontational, he's just, okay, whatever, I don't know if that's the guy for you. I just want to get to the root of what the issue is, and then so we can move forward and just leave that in the past. I'm going to tell you what it is that I don't like or don't appreciate. We can then come to some type of agreement or a disagreement, whatever, but you know what my expectations are. And if I decide that I don't want to deal with that anymore, then I like to know early on so we could just part ways. And most real men or men that don't pander to women, that's how we function. We don't want to waste time. We don't want to control you. We just want to make you the best partner for us at the end of the day.
You're perfect. Unless you think you're perfect and there's nothing to change. At some point, you should hear something that kind of pricks you. Like, oh, I need to tighten up. I need to change that about myself. That's an area I need to grow in. If the guy or the man or woman with the microphone is always saying the blame is the other party, the blame is the men.
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix.
It ain't you. You're never going to get that. Like, as a therapist, if you came in for 6 months and I agreed with you, all your problems is everybody else but you, what do you have to change?
Well, let's take your morals off the table.
Sure.
If you were making a critical decision to come into as a podcaster, and your sole focus and your only priority and importance was to make as much money as you can, would you come in the field that you're in, or as a panderer? Take your morals off the table. A panderer, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. That confirms it.
And I know with one, and they actually do it now with men and women. With now they're telling men and women what each side wants to hear, which is what's.
Just getting back to it, a lot of these podcasts that you guys, men and women, listen to, whether it's some of the podcasts men have where they say, oh, you should do everything for your woman, you should do this, you should do that, or vice versa. Women saying, oh, I shouldn't have to do this, I shouldn't have to do that. If you don't make this much amount of money, or if he don't do this, he don't do. A lot of that is bullshit. That's not going to land you in a great relationship. It's a team effort. It's a joint effort. Seriously, the man needs to do what he needs to do, and the woman needs to do what she needs to do. And there has to be some morals, some integrity, and respect all intertwined into that. And there needs to be clear dialogue and conversation, fluid dialogue. Now, for some reason, and I don't even think this should be possible, there definitely should be times where issues pop up that you guys need to work through. If for some reason you just got the super perfect relationship, that would be scary to me. There's no way that there's no issues or anything never came up. That means somebody's hiding something, somebody's great at hiding something, or somebody's lying.
Driving the gender war thing even worse. So now you have this whole market of podcasters, red pill space, black pill space, where it's everything that's wrong in society is because of women. That's how they're marketing it. And now the guys who's not getting the success that they want in the dating market, the issue is the women. So that's the reason for why I can't get the type of woman I want. It's because of the women. If the women was better, then everything will be fine. And then on the other side, all the issues are men. Men ain't men no more. The reality is, we all got work to do. But
exactly.
To me, if you become more aware of the propaganda and indoctrination and the attempts to pander to you, you'll actually know when politicians are lying to you, when life coaches are lying to you, when podcasters are lying to you. Now you see through it. And you'll know it because if you watch enough of their material, they will never speak on certain issues or issues pertaining to certain sexes. It'll be obvious. So the guys that's going on tour and they sound like they a poet and they say this stuff on stage, but not one time has he ever said something about what a woman needs to change. He's telling her it sounds good. Women fall in love with what they hear, men fall in love with what they see. So this is why when they want to market to men, OnlyFans, sex sells. They know how to market to us. How do they market to y'all? Tell y'all what y'all want to hear. If you start to learn this and start from an intellectual state, start breaking down why I believe what I believe, and start is the
I'm gonna stop it right there. I think you guys get the gist of it. It has to be deeper than surface level. That's what he pretty much was going to end that off with. It has to be deeper than surface level. You just can't make a general statement and don't break it down and provide actual examples. And this is for both men and women, on both sides, because there's a lot of podcasts out there. Men doing podcasts blaming women, women doing podcasts blaming men. Again, it takes two to tango. It takes two to tango and understand the environment that we live in. And honestly, what type of man do you want? If you understand the type of man that you want and you understand the type of woman that you want and the values that you want from your spouse or your partner, you should start there. Decision making. Great decision making typically leads to good results. Again, I just want to thank y'all for listening to the Carlos Marqui channel. Wanted to give y'all another video. I know it's been probably almost a week. But again, this content and these podcasts, the women podcasts, man, they're just going rapid out there. And sometimes you just got to make the conscious decision on, yo, am I going to take a step back, evaluate what's going on around me, and then take action? Or you just going to make better decisions when you enter in the dating game and making sure you understand the environment that we in. But until next time, I'll holla at y'all.